All right, let's get right into it. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are breaking down an absolute powerhouse of a story. We're talking about a classic, high-octane hero's journey. A tale that blends really tragic beginnings, incredibly high-stakes magic, and honestly, some of the most satisfying cinematic battles you will ever come across. We're going to be tracking the rise of a boy who goes from being a traumatized orphan to an absolute force of nature. If you are into those underdog stories where the main character literally outscales the elite nobles through just sheer grit and a terrifyingly unique power set, you are absolutely going to love this.
So, right off the bat, we've got to ask a crucial question, because it pretty much defines our entire narrative. What actually happens when an orphaned boy uses magic that is so dangerous, it's like wearing molten iron? It's a massive hook that immediately sets our protagonist, Eldomia, way apart from every other magic user in his world. He is not out here waving a fancy wand or chanting elegant spells. Not at all. He's utilizing a power system that is inherently self-destructive. And to really understand why on earth he pushes himself to such deadly extremes, we have to look back at the tragedy that forged him.
The inciting incident of our story is, well, it's brutal. When Eldomia is just 8 years old, his entire village is completely massacred by the Demon King's army. Just wiped out. He loses his parents, he loses his home, and he's left with absolutely nothing but raw, unfiltered rage. And it's in this exact moment of pure desperation that he actually steps in to save a captured elf mage named Alia from a gang of thugs. Driven entirely by his trauma and just this overwhelming will to survive, an 8-year-old Eldomia manages to tap into this berserk aura, single-handedly slaughtering these adult bandits. But you gotta wonder, how is a little kid even capable of doing something like that?
Well, what makes Eldomia so unique comes down to the core mechanics of his power. See, normal magic in this world works by safely refining raw energy, right? Knights turn it into aura to coat their swords, mages shape it into predictable spells. It's safe, it's controlled. But Eldomia, he skips all of that. He uses raw, unrefined mana. His adoptive sister, Alia, explains later on that wielding unrefined mana is literally like wearing molten iron. It should, by all logic, destroy his body from the inside out. Yet somehow, his body just withstands it. This biological anomaly is exactly why he is quite literally built differently.
Fast forward 3 years, Eldomia is 11 now, and he's settled into a new life in Awan village with Alia, who he basically considers his older sister at this point. But, as you might guess, he hasn't exactly found peace. Instead, he has become the ruthless guardian of the village. The kid has zero tolerance for threats. When a group of underground assassins targets a mysterious red-haired girl named Revi in his village, Eldomia doesn't go running for the town guards. Nope. He hunts the kidnappers down himself, using that raw battle IQ and brutal efficiency to systematically dismantle them.
But the kidnapping plot actually runs way deeper than it seems. Revi gets snatched up by the enemy leader, a highly skilled wyvern knight named Delta, who immediately takes off into the sky. And what follows is just this breathtaking, totally cinematic clash. Eldomia literally leaps onto a secondary wyvern, taking this sword fight straight up into the clouds. I mean, it's insane. As they're plummeting through the air, Delta is overwhelming the boy with just superior, refined technique. But Eldomia is a tactical genius. He intentionally positions himself to use the blinding rays of the sun to distract the knight for just a split second. And that fraction of a moment, that's all he needs to slay Delta and rescue Revi right as they freefall.
Obviously, an incredible feat like that doesn't just go unnoticed. It turns out Revi is the last surviving heir to the super-powerful Margrave noble family. Her guardian, this legendary, blonde, gigachat of a knight named Sir Acaf, tracks him down, and he drops this profound truth on Eldomia. Acknowledging his own failures, he tells the boy, "No one single-handedly saves everyone, but united we can topple the Demon King's army." Knowing that Eldomia's ultimate goal is revenge against the demons, Sir Ekrif officially recruits him. So Eldomia agrees to pack up and move to the royal capital to train, and to act as a personal guard for Lady Revi.
And let me tell you, Eldomia does not take this opportunity lightly. Cue the grueling year-long training montage. Eldomia endures this intense physical conditioning under Sir Ekaf. He conditions his body against the freezing, icy winters using his raw mana, and he gets into these endless, brutal duels with Sir Ekaf's bratty, arrogant daughter, Cheryl. Honestly, he absolutely dog-walks her in combat, completely forcing her to respect him. Through just sheer dominance and this unrelenting fighting style in the local adventurers guild, Eldomia earns himself a pretty fearsome new reputation. He becomes known all across the capital as the Mad Dog.
But you know things can't stay peaceful for long, and our story takes a pretty dark turn. A super suspicious number of high-ranking adventurers start going missing. Eldomia and his new rival Cheryl end up taking on this massive 60-person bandit subjugation quest, which is being led by a wealthy, totally corrupt noble named Baron Papaya. Yeah, that's his name. Sensing a trap right away, Eldomia and Cheryl go completely off script. While the Baron sends the main force of adventurers right into a deadly ambush, our duo splits off to investigate what this quest is really about. And guys, what they find is chilling.
Cheryl uncovers the horrifying truth. This supposed bandit hideout, it's actually a set of pristine ruins, acting as a giant decoy. Hidden beneath it is this dark, massive basement filled with mountains of rotting, blue-rank adventurer corpses. These people weren't casualties of some random bandit raid. The corrupt Baron Papaya had been intentionally luring powerful adventurers to their deaths, executing them as blood sacrifices to fulfill a dark pact he actually made with demons.
Okay, so picture this. Eldomia has the Baron dead to rights. He is seconds away from beating the demon's location out of him. But suddenly, an assassin literally drops out of the trees and executes the Baron on the spot. This guy is Walter, an agent of the King's Shadows, which is the kingdom's elite covert intelligence faction. They assassinate the Baron to keep the whole demon threat a complete state secret. But because Eldomia essentially just ruined their entire intelligence gathering op, the Guildmaster ropes him into a highly classified, totally off-the-books mission to raid the demons directly.
To actually pull this off, the Guildmaster handpicks the most chaotic, ragtag secret party for Eldomia. First up, you have Ekaterina. She's a towering, muscle-bound warrior who is pretty much constantly ready to smash things to the moon and back. Then there's Relly, who is a highly capable but incredibly timid and terrified mage. And finally, Gagon, a grumpy dwarf who completely ignores Eldomia at first just so he can sit in the corner and draw dungeon maps. Despite all their quirks, they are highly specialized, and Eldomia really has to quickly figure out how to lead them.
So their mission brings them deep into a hidden forest dungeon. Eldomia devises a pretty brilliant infiltration strategy here. He uses the loud, boisterous Ekaterina to cause this massive distraction at the front gates, drawing all the guards out. Meanwhile, Eldomia, Relai, and Gigan slip right through the side passages, navigating deep into the facility. And what they uncover at the very bottom is terrifying. The demons are channeling astronomical amounts of mana to construct a massive, interregional teleportation gate. But standing directly in their way is the dungeon boss, Lord Encanter, and he is a two-horned demon. If you know anything about these tropes, two horns denotes a massive, almost insurmountable threat level. Lord Encanter is this hulking behemoth who easily deflects Eldomonia's raw mana attacks with just a flick of his wrist. And when he gets cornered, the demon bulks up even further, mutating into this crazy Hulk-like state that prepares to completely wipe the floor with Eldomonia's entire party.
But hey, remember what we said about Eldomia's battle IQ? He realizes the demon's mutated form is completely bloated with pure mana, just like his own. So he executes this beautifully brutal counter-strategy. First, he observes the weakness. The demon is leaking energy. Next, going full caveman, he throws a literal fistful of sand, pocket sand style, into the arrogant demon's eyes to blind him. While the demon is thrashing around, Eldomia ambushes him from behind, plunges his sword in, and literally force-feeds the demon's already bloated body with his own explosive raw mana. The demon overloads from the sheer density of the energy and just violently explodes.
It's an epic victory, right? Well, it's short-lived. Just as Encanter dies, his headless body falls backward through the now active teleportation gate, and he drags Eldomia right through with it. On the other side, Eldomia finds himself surrounded by an entire army of demons, led by a second demon lord. Furious over his brother's death, this second demon lord activates their ultimate weapon. They roll a catastrophic, gigantic Pokeball-like mana bomb straight through the portal, aimed right at the human kingdom.
The demons are just laughing, declaring the bomb shell is completely immune to normal magic and weapons. But Eldomia realizes something absolutely crucial. If it's immune to everything but raw mana, I'll just cut it with raw mana. In a final desperate gamble, Eldomia channels every last drop of his pure molten iron energy right into his already shattered sword, and he just yeets the broken blade like a javelin straight at the bomb. The raw mana slices through that impenetrable shell like butter, detonating the bomb prematurely on the demon's side of the gate. He saves the kingdom right as his party manages to pull his unconscious body back to safety.
Cut to a few days later, Eldemonia wakes up in a hospital bed and is immediately approached by the king's shadows. Because he single-handedly averted a national catastrophe, they offer him a highly lucrative official knighthood. But Eldemonia is sharp, okay? He realizes the kingdom is desperate and just wants a disposable meat shield for the impending war. So he firmly rejects the manipulative job offer. Instead, the political landscape pivots. Lady Revi gets invited to the massive, overwhelmingly powerful Eshnua Empire for diplomatic talks, and she demands that Eldemonia accompany her as her personal guard.
Once they actually arrive at the Empire's super prestigious magic academy, the arrogant Imperial students try to humiliate Revi in a virtual reality combat arena. But Revi is no longer the helpless kidnapped girl from back in the day. Faced with a devastating arena-destroying spear attack from an Imperial princess, Revi doesn't even flinch. She summons the Shield of Aziel, this breathtaking, gigantic, armored magical projection that just effortlessly swats the ultimate attack away. She proves to the Empire right then and there that the Aziel Kingdom is not to be messed with.
Of course, a massive display of power like that catches the eye of the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Imperial hero, C. C is this terrifyingly strong, incredibly arrogant warrior who basically represents the absolute pinnacle of the Empire's military might. Bored by the weak students, the Empire's trump card suddenly demands a duel, and not with Revi, but with her mere guard, Eldomia. The Imperial nobles gleefully agree to this, secretly hoping C is going to brutally maim Eldomia just to crush Revi's spirit and humiliate their rival kingdom.
The fight kicks off, and guys, C is an absolute monster. He wields this massive greatsword with blinding speed. Eldomia is pushed entirely onto the defensive, barely parrying this relentless barrage of heavy strikes. C lands a devastating kick that sends Eldomia literally flying across the arena. Thinking the fight is basically already over, C arrogantly hits him with a classic taunt, "I'm disappointed. After all that confidence, you've done nothing but defend. I've lost interest."
But C completely misread the situation. Eldomia wasn't losing. He was downloading C's attack patterns. With a smirk, Eldomia declares he's finally done warming up. He vanishes with blinding speed. C swings his massive blade to try and catch him, but Eldomia perfectly slips right past the giant sword. Ignoring his own weapon entirely, Eldomia steps right into C's guard and lands a devastating bare-fisted right hook flush to the hero's face, sending the Empire's absolute strongest warrior flying backward. It is an incredible display of battle IQ that leaves the entire Imperial Academy in totally stunned silence. And that is exactly where this chapter of the story leaves off. I mean, a commoner just punched the Empire's most prized hero in the face. What do you think C's reaction is going to be? We're going to find out next time.